room. That first part's the scary bit, but you got to commit to it. Touch, 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 all the way down, and then all the way back up. That last little bit, I find that even when I was kind of watching what you were doing then with the handshake, that last little bit is where people kind of go, I'm going to fall, and they kind of cop out of it and start using their steps. Just don't be afraid of that part. Like, you might feel like you don't have the stability, but you'll never have it if you don't stick through that last second. So when you kind of get to, let's say, this bit and you're coming back up, this is where you get that sticking point. Really commit to the bridge, emphasize the hips through the roof even more, and try to fling yourself up that way. So take a corner each, go through 5 each, same kind of thing, just partner to partner. Have a sip of water. Okay, we're going to go through just a couple of more grappling heavy techniques from the freestyle wrestling world, the jiu-jitsu world. But the whole point of this is difference. And I think that when everyone kind of comes in and does their usual lockups and their usual go-behinds and everything kind of looks the same, sometimes it's good to have a different way of doing it. So these ways are a little bit different to what you commonly see in pro wrestling. Plus, it gives you a more efficient way. So if you're ever in the ring with someone who's a bit nervous, who's a bit tense, who you want to control, but maybe that they're struggling and not really working with you, this kind of stuff, you can control someone without hurting them. So we're going to go through just a little bit of grip fighting. So what grip fighting is not coming in with the lockup straight away, but working through handling grips first. So, you know, often if you see like the real tech heavy wrestlers, instead of just coming in lockup, they might start going for knuckle locks and different techniques and grabbing the wrist and grabbing, you know, like collar control and things like that. With this one, we're going to work through an arm drag. Now, an arm drag in amateur wrestling is not a deep arm drag. An arm drag is grabbing the tricep and using that to clear a path to the back, or using that to take control of a leg. But essentially, you're coming through and latching the tricep. So we're kind of moving forwards and then going backwards. We're going to start with the actual technique first, and then we'll go through the grips to lead into it. So the technique is going to be grabbing the same side arm, and you can try both sides just to get used to it, but same side wrist with your hand. You're going to latch with your tricep, you're going to latch their tricep with your hand. Make sure it's a thumbless grip too. You don't want to grab with your thumb around. You want to always go thumbless. And really emphasize dragging it and ripping it across your body. So person on the other side, give just that little bit of resistance. Don't go floppy like we commonly do in pro wrestling. Give just a little bit of resistance so they actually learn the correct technique. Grab, latch, drag, and I want you to take like a waist lock or whatever you get. And if this is all you get with the arm trapped, that's honestly more common than getting all the way to the back. So start slow, go through like, let's say 4 each, so 2 on each side. Grab, latch. As you do, I like to step around to the outside, and then as I drag across, I put my inside leg in the way, because I don't want to rip Link across to the point where he just runs away and I lose control of him. So I'm going outside, inside. So grab, as I grab, I step out, I latch, I drag in and hook there. Then we reset, we go other side. Grab, latch, drag in, and get that waist lock. Go through like 2 each, and then swap over. We're gonna do this a lot more, but this is just the introduction. Off you go. If Link grabs the wrist, the way that you release your hand, and this is even in a grappling sense, if someone does grab your wrist, is you want to isolate and pull. And you always pull away from their grip. So wherever their fingers are pointing, pull your arm out that way. And even if they hold on real tight, it's generally quite easy. So isolate and pull. So what we're going to do this time is we're going to do that to start with. We're going to get rid of it, grab, latch, pull across to that same waist lock. You can also, you might want to play around with this one too. If you get the wrist, you can also just turn your hand in and out. That's another way to do it. That's like an old catch wrestling technique. So in, out, and grab. Play around with that one as well. I find it more difficult in real life. Like I find that if someone's actually grabbing you 100%, it's often very hard to turn your wrist. But this one, doesn't matter how hard they grab, this one is very simple. Just boom, grab, pull, go. All right, let's keep going. Same thing, just start with the initial grab and reverse. Yep. Once you do get to the back, typically when we grab a waist lock, most people will go this grip here. If you can't see, just hop around this side. This is called a ball and socket grip. It's just where you're grabbing your own wrist bone. Good for the waist lock, but for this takedown specifically, we actually want to go to a gable grip. Okay, so gable grip is where you have a thumbless grip, you cross your hands and you lock them together. For this particular takedown, assuming that we're going to bring their head to the left side, which I think most people tend to go that way. Whenever I survey people, I tend to go that way. Plus it means that if you take them that way, you can go for their left arm, which Western style pro wrestling, we always work the left. So we're going to focus just on taking them that way to start with. So I'm going to make sure that my left hand is the palm facing up grip. It can't be this way, it just doesn't work. So left hand under, right hand on top. Now once you get this grip, generally we're going to be quite low, hips below their hips. However, what I have to do next is very important. I have to bring my grip over his left hip bone. And when I do that, I have to make sure everything is super tight. So I'm going to go over the hip, everything really tight, no space. They call this the short arm because it's kind of tucked in like a lot shorter than the other one. So your left arm is the short arm. Now, here's the hard part. What most people do is when we step around to the side, they let that grip kind of go and it ends up on the opposite hip. That's not what we want. It's not like a German suplex. We need the grip and our legs over the same side. So this is where you got to stay really tight. We're not going to drop our partners. We're going to kind of just lift them a little bit. So we bring the grip over the left hip bone. We walk our feet all the way around as close to 90 degrees as possible. And then once I get there, I'm going to use a really explosive hip hinge. So just like we did with the bridges, shoot your hips to the roof. That will help elevate their legs. And I just want you to bring them down slowly. Okay, so work together. If they're too heavy for you to bring down slowly, just bring them up and back down to their feet. But no bumps to start with. So here, so start with your regular grip, switch to the gable, over the hip, step around. Just that. It's just that real explosive hip hinge. That'll kick their legs up to the side. Have a go. Let's just go everything on the same side this time. So around to your left side, have like 2 goes each, and then back and forward. I'll come help you if you need it. Off you go. What I want you guys to do is exactly the same setup. Just start off with just a little bit of grip fighting. So don't be afraid to get in the ring and just play around with not actually fully engaging. But don't do this. So if we come up, this is what I see a lot of is, like, don't be that person. You either engage or you don't engage. I don't mind if you like, tease things, that kind of thing. Like, that's all good. But then you either go for it or you completely back away. Don't kind of semi-engage. And if someone starts trying to lock up Knuckles or whatever with you, don't be the person that just always breaks it. Like, you're not going anywhere. So, you know what? In fact, let's just make it a knuckle lock. Keep it nice and simple. So, but if you guys want to play around with it, circle up, like be as creative as you like. If you want to show your character, it's up to you. Do whatever you want. We're going to go knuckle lock. We're going to go from knuckle lock to the arm drag, to the back take, to the mat return, and then we're going to go through a little finishing sequence. Once we get to the ground, if you go just on your front, once we bring them down, okay, so this time you're going to take the front bump. We're going to end up in a front headlock position. Normally, front headlock, you would probably have your hands locked, sometimes in front of their arm, so sometimes around their neck. Sometimes you would have it over their arm. Either way is fine. But for this one, we're going to have them go for the counter out. So the counter out, one of the most common is the kick sit. I might get you to actually lock it on me because it's a little bit easier for me to show you. All right, so I've got my head locked from here. One of the most common is to grab the elbow or the arm and kick sit with my opposite leg through. So from here, you would go kick sit to break the grip. And then usually we would keep turning, maybe get one of our own or get a hammerlock or whatever. You can even, if you get me again, you can even go from here, kick sit out, and then just go the shortcut. Turn in, take control here. But let's just start with that one, and then we're gonna go through the counter for that kick sit. So I'll let you guys finish however you wish. If you want to just finish in a front face lock of your own, that's cool. But let's do the entire sequence. Elbow, kick sit, finish however you prefer. Okay? One for one. Let's go. So this is like a little cartwheel. You don't have to know how to cartwheel, you just have to know the right technique. So I'll put you in the front headlock this time. So they're gonna kick sit out. What I like to do in preparation of this is rather than having whatever normal headlock grip I might have, I actually use my left arm, the one that's overhooking, and I bring it all the way through and I grab their tricep. So my right hand's not actually doing anything, it's just being ready to post off the mat. Because for this one, to do the cartwheel, you need a strong post. So generally, I'll be locking this on, and maybe this has been pre-planned or maybe not, but if I can kind of feel that they're about to do that kick sit, I'll lock the tricep with my left, and my right hand will now go to the ground. Now, as they do the kick sit and spin out, I just kind of ride their momentum, kick my legs around, and we land back in the same position. Theoretically, we should. It also kind of depends on the person escaping. So for those of you who are underneath, really commit to that kick sit. Really try to kick all the way around in one motion, because if you're too slow, it's just very hard. So try to get it all together. We'll see how we go. All right, from here, hook the tricep post, and last step, should have mentioned this. You also want to make sure you're not heavy with your knees in the ground. Now, when I was watching it before, a lot of you had the front headlock, your knees were down. In a pro wrestling sense, that's not too bad. In a grappling sense, you want to put your weight through them, not the ground. So you want to be here. If I've got a front headlock, I'm pushing my shoulder and I'm keeping my knees off the ground. So for those of you who are prone to just dropping your knees and kind of relaxing here, you need to kind of post up a little bit. So I'll usually lift one, if not both knees. That will just help me be a little bit more explosive. All right, so when you're ready, post through the mat, go for it. All the way around back to the start. Okay, what we'll do today is we'll go through two. So counter, cartwheel, counter, cartwheel. And then the person on top, which would be me, once we've done our two counters, from here, all I want you to do is scoop an underhook. So that right hand that was posting now goes to the underhook, and you're gonna kind of like turn the bus wheel. Big turn. So you've still got the headlock, you go from the post to the underhook, turn into the cover. All right, one more time. We'll do the same setup, mat return, front headlock, transition to the tricep, post through the mat, go for it. There we go, one more time. That's it, underhook, turn, cover, kick out, EC dub. One, two. Right hand on the ground, Leah. That's it. Be ready to cartwheel. Yep. Good. Right arm underhook. Turn that wheel this way. Yeah. Cover.
1, 2.
That's it. 1, 2. I want to see that you are more tired. Treat it like the first person you do it to is the start of a match. Second and third are more like middle of the match, and that last person you're like going for the finish kind of thing. Even though what we're doing is very simple, basic stuff. So the drill we're going to do today, and I'll say that this is corner 1. Yeah, that'll be easiest. We'll say this is corner 1. So balls is the fresh opponent. Whoever you're facing is going to charge you in the corner. They're going to throw a clothesline at you. I'm going to duck. So if you run in, we're going to duck. Whatever strikes you want to do, you're going to work them back to the ropes. So boom, 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 throw bombs. It's going to be whip, reverse. Now balls is going to go down for like a back body drop. I'm going to do the old like Mr. Perfect jump over the top. If you've never seen that, you're basically hurdling them. So try to be nice and low. I haven't done this in many years, but you're basically hurdling and jumping over. Balls is going to throw a back elbow. I'm going to duck that as well. Duck through and then hit just a big tackle, just a big shoulder tackle. Boom. That's it. Balls takes it, he rolls out. Throw the line, same thing. The only difference is I am more fatigued. We are later in the match. So that's what I'm looking for, is that you're both kind of selling that. Same thing. Strike, 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 strike. Whip, reverse, Mr. Perfect, duck the elbow, tackle. So you go through all of them. All right, that's it. Nice and simple. Duck the line, throw the strikes, whip, reverse, Mr. Perfect, duck the elbow, shoulder tackle, boom, turns around, let's go. Yep. Duck and tackle. Let's go. With the last two, try to hold whatever's being hit, try to hold that. It just makes it more visible as to your selling. And it also kind of shows that you are being defensive as well, because if your arms are just down here and you're kind of letting it happen, it kind of takes away from the whole image of pro wrestling performance. If someone's hitting us, we should at least kind of be defensive with our hands up. Doesn't mean you're full blocking, but it just means that you're there. You're still trying to protect it just a little bit. Plus, when we hold our face, it just shows the crowd what's been hit, because the front row might see it, but if you're in front of 1,000 people and the back row can't see a whole lot, boom, they don't know what's happened. boom, they know exactly what's happened. So it just adds to that whole selling side. All right, let's rotate. Next in. So this is just a takedown from the knuckle lock. Again, a very like freestyle wrestling-esque takedown. And I just find it's quite easy to get with anyone, even if it's not being called or not being planned. So for this one, whoever's on top, just initiate the knuckle lock. We're going to take it nice and slow. So we kind of need a slight gap in the stance. Like if their feet are too close together, you're not going to get this one, because essentially this is an inside trip. So an inside trip is stepping all the way in and providing that block right there. And that block stops Leah from stepping back with her left foot and basically stopping her fall. So this takes that away. And then from here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the knuckle lock, and almost like I'm like doing the old Odysseys dance, right? Almost like I'm doing that, I'm going to throw her body over my leg. Okay, so I'm not coming in front on. I might initiate the knuckle lock front on, and if you want to change their ring position, just turn in circles, right? So if you feel like they're kind of off center here, or it's not going to work or whatever, just use the knuckle lock, turn in a circle, and that'll reposition. But essentially what you're going to do is you're going to come in almost on the side. So you're kind of like stepping in with your left foot and then stepping in with your right foot. So this gets you closer and this gets you behind. Then over to here, that traps the leg, and then I'm going to do a right side shoulder roll. So if I've got that close enough and tight enough, the shoulder roll should force Leah to her stomach over into an STF. So the STF, you've just got the step over toe hold. So you're trapping the leg here. Your left leg is going to be quite straight. You don't want your knees too bent, because that just allows her leg to move around. You want your left leg straight on your right hip, and then whatever type of crossface you want to get from there. All right, I'll go through slow. So knuckle lock. When you come in, remember it's side on, but you're going to go left foot in, right foot in and around. And you'll see my toe is on the mat. I'm not lifting it up and grapevining it, and I'm not flat-footed. It's just toe on the mat. Over to the side, roll through. You don't really have to use your hands if you've got it tight enough, but sometimes I'll put one hand on just to make sure. But roll to here, reposition to your right hip, get your legs locked in, cross face, finish the hold from there. Does anyone need to see it again? Nope. All right, let's give it a go. Pair off.